Welcome to the Sisters Uncensored podcast, where we get into everything from childhood trauma to millennial adulting and all things in between.
We share crazy stories from the past and present to help us cope with the insanity that is our lives.
By sharing our perspectives, we hope to bring some relatability, laughter, and unsolicited advice that can help you survive the messiness of life along with us.
My name's Jessica Labita. I'm a millennial mom, wife, and marketing professional, and I am absolutely insane.
My name is Ashley Leneve. I am a millennial stay-at-home mom, avid golfer, and too mouthy for my own good.
We are real sisters, and this is Sisters Uncensored. Take this trip with us.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's episode, we are going to talk about what it was like growing up in the neighborhood that we did. Where we grew up, we had like 4 streets that were, it was an older lake community, but it was a great place to grow up. We had so many kids in the neighborhood. We would have like 15 kids at each bus stop. So anyway, we had a lot of characters, which everybody played together. We had a really good time together. We've made a lot of memories, some good ones, some crazy ones. And then even today, like when we were recently actually talking about one of the kids in the neighborhood and looked them up, just to be like, where are they now? And crazy story about that. He actually ended up murdered.
Yeah.
Murdered.
Yeah.
We had a guy murdered from the neighborhood.
So, do you remember Mr. Wallisch?
Yes.
So the name of our neighborhood was Wallisch Estates, right?
He gave out the biggest candy bars at Halloween.
He gave out the biggest candy bars at Halloween. And we used to ride like quads and stuff through his fields when we were younger. And we would always go like stop in his house just to say hi because he loved like seeing the neighborhood kids all the time. And he would always give us a Tootsie Pop whenever we like, would just randomly pop in. It was like one of my favorite memories of living there. But so the names of the streets were actually named after his siblings, I believe.
Right.
So it was like John, Madeline, Lewis, and Sophie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We called them First Street, Second Street, Third Street, Fourth Street.
Yes, we did.
That's what all the neighborhood kids called it.
Yeah, so
Weird.
funny.
But Caitlin and I used to go over to his house.
Yeah.
And just like pop and be like, his nurse would be there, or his aide, and we would just be like, we just wanted to come and say hi to Mr. Wallisch.
He was so nice.
We would just sit there and he would just talk to us for a few minutes and give us a Tootsie Pop. And we were like, all right, well, it was good to see you. Have a good day.
I know. He's the nicest man. And they turned that place now, like his house is now like an event space because it was like a big farm and there's a barn. My brother-in-law actually got married there.
Yeah, I remember that. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. They do a lot of like different events there, art things and things like that.
Yeah. It's cool.
That is cool. That's
it's
so
fun
funny
to like still be able to go there as an adult for different things when you like grew up there. You know?
Yeah. So we still keep in touch with some people from the neighborhood, and then others obviously we haven't talked to in years or whatever. But Mark had a friend who lived at the end of the street. His name was John, and he was the nicest, sweetest kid in the world. He had just like an unfortunate upbringing. Like it was a little bit troubled. You know, I think his mom was in jail.
Yeah, I'm not sure whatever happened to his birth mom, but he had several moms over the course of our childhood.
The dad was a big drinker. He always had like Marlboros in his shirt pocket. It was like, oh, you're that guy. And he'd definitely like hang out at the American Legion like entirely too long every single day. But
his name was Pat.
His name was Pat.
Right.
And because his name was Pat, every new girl that he'd start dating who was also an alcoholic, would end up pregnant.
Yep.
And this kid or this woman,
these women.
Yeah. Wait, the dad, I should say. Every baby that he created with God knows who, which was like 7. Like he had like 7 kids.
Yep.
And they were all named Patrick.
Yep.
Every one of them was named Patrick.
Yep.
Except for John.
John was the only one that wasn't Patrick.
Yeah. It was weird.
I know.
And then I think there was a girl.
He had like older brothers, I remember, when like we would talk to him as a kid that weren't in the house. They were like maybe with their mom. Because I think his father just like got everyone pregnant.
And just bolted?
I don't know. But like I know he had like older brothers named Patrick, and then he had the one lady had 2 babies, I think, like when he was a little boy.
I remember one was named Patrick.
Yeah, and one was also named Patrick. So like he would talk about them and he'd be like, my older brother Patrick, my baby brother Patrick.
My
like,
10 brothers, Patrick.
my dad Patrick. I'm like, why is it like George Foreman, right? Didn't George Foreman name all his kids George?
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of the
so
same
funny.
thing, except not famous and total QT.
Definitely QT. For anybody who doesn't know what QT means, that's what we call quarter trash. No matter what, some people have just, they're a little QT.
Yeah.
Quarter trash.
They might have been like a fitty trash.
They were more like a fitty trash.
75.
I mean, the one mom, what's her name, Mary Ellen?
Yes.
She was a big drinker.
Oh my God.
I never saw her without a beer can in her hand. I was like, whoa.
I remember going to their house to like get Mark when we were kids, and she was like sitting in her living room. I swear she smoked cigs her whole pregnancy.
Oh my God.
With like John's first little brother. And then
Poor Patrick.
and then one time I'll never forget, she was like sitting in like a lounge, like a recliner chair, and she had like one of those snack trays next to her, and it was like her ashtray with her cigs and a beer on the thing. And I was like, aren't you, like, I don't know how old I was. I was probably 12, if that, 11, but she was pregnant. So I'm like, aren't you like not supposed to be drinking beer when you're pregnant? And she goes, no, it's okay. This is my baby beer. And I'm like, baby beer? And then I went home and talked to Mom about it. I'm like, Mom, Mary Ellen was drinking beer when she was pregnant. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, she called it her baby beer. And Mom was like, oh, it's probably O'Doul's, like a non-alcoholic beer.
Ew, you know you have a problem when?
Yeah, you know you have a drinking problem when you have to drink O'Doul's when you're pregnant.
Good God.
Yikes.
Good God.
Yeah, they were quite the characters. And then whatever happened to them? They like moved out. I don't know.
I think the dad died.
Did he?
The dad died.
I mean, he was not the healthiest.
I mean, it was
Mom wanted
a miracle
to like
he lasted
adopt
as long as
John
he
and
did.
just take him
I know.
to live with us.
John was definitely such a sweet boy. He used to always tell Mom, I love coming to your house after school. It was like he got to have like homemade cookies and real like food
and function in a house that wasn't like fogged with cigarette
smoke. I think I babysat for them one time.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in and feeling like I just don't want to sit down or touch anything.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like everything's dirty.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That might have been why I was there, and it might have been the second kid, and then realized like that she was smoking and drinking while she was pregnant. I might have been going there to babysit, which
Yikes.
I don't know.
Yikes.
Weird.
All right, moving on. We have other people that we can absolutely talk about from the neighborhood.
Hey guys, it's Sisters Uncensored. We are super excited to be collaborating with Juicy Tits Vodka.
Juicy Tits Vodka is manufactured in the good old US of A out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
A portion of their proceeds for every bottle sold goes to breast cancer related charities.
It's $29.99 a bottle, and you can order online at juicytitsvodka.com.
Let's get tit-faced! Okay, so Danny.
Okay, so murdered Danny?
Yes.
Okay.
Should we get into him?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So there was this kid in the neighborhood. His name was Danny Akers. And the one like childhood memory that I had of him, Ashley and I were like talking about this the other day. And I was like, do you remember him? He lived on
Second Street.
Second Street. Yes. He was like a couple houses down from Janine. Mm-hmm. So he was cute. He was like a good looking kid. He was maybe like a year or two younger than I was. And he lived like with, I think, his dad.
Oh.
And like his dad's girlfriend. So like I don't think his real mom lived in the house. I think
no,
he came
this
to
was
live with
definitely
his
like
dad.
an in-between.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't there all the time.
No,
Yeah.
he wasn't there for very long. But the one thing I remember about him, and this is like should have been the red flag that was like, yo, this kid's a psycho and you probably shouldn't be hanging out with him, is he took cinder blocks. I guess his dad was like having work done on the house, and he took cinder blocks and put a cinder block down like on the street, and then would catch frogs and put a frog on top of the cinder block, and then take another cinder block and drop it onto the other cinder block, and just pancake flatten frogs for the fun.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a red flag. Anytime like a kid is killing animals, you know something's
Something's
wrong.
not
yeah,
right.
there's a screw loose.
Ugh.
That's like what they say is like one of the first signs of like a psycho.
I didn't like realize it as a kid, but I knew it was wrong.
Yikes.
And like to this day, it's like burned into my brain as like a psychotic thing that I witnessed, that I was like, Not okay.
Not okay.
Not okay.
Well, when we were talking about this, we decided to look him up. So, of course,
yes, you can like stalk anyone on social media
Obviously,
now. So we were like, ooh, I wonder where he is and what he looks like.
So I just Googled him, and all of a sudden, like, I'm down rabbit holes, like rabbit holes about this situation. So apparently he was married to this woman, and she shot him and tried to stage it as a suicide.
Yep.
So I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I gotta look. This chick is out on like bail right now. They haven't even done her court case. Anyway, the further I dug into it, the more mugshots I would find, which is always a treat. I love a good mugshot.
Didn't they live in like Georgia or something now?
Yes.
Like at
Paulding County.
Yeah. So I think his mom might have been from there. I think that's how he must have gone back there after he lived by us and like stayed around.
I mean.
But I think the article said he had like 7 kids or something. Like he had a shit ton of kids.
I'm looking at it right now because I like kept it open. It was a gunshot wound to the head too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
She shot him. Shot him in the head.
Shot him in the head and tried to stage it as a suicide.
What I can't understand is
girl,
why. So it
have
happened
you ever
during
watched
COVID.
one episode of Law and Order?
Right.
Just one.
It happened during COVID, right?
Yes.
So I think because of COVID and the court systems and all that stuff, she like sort of skated by on this because
Yeah.
if she's out and about.
It says all the forensic testing and all of that was delayed because of COVID. So she
But
was
it's like
just out living her best
4
life.
years later.
Yeah, and she still hasn't been tried.
That is insane to me.
I can't wait for the trial though. I hope they let me stream it.
So I saw there were all kinds of like petitions and stuff from like the community being like, yo, this bitch was crazy and
Yeah.
killed him.
Yeah.
Why is she walking around?
Yeah, good question. And she has kids. I think she like has custody over her kids.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Could you imagine?
No.
Jesus.
I wonder if she's going to get away with it.
No chance. What are you kidding me? This girl's got a rap sheet. It's not gonna happen.
They're all like a bunch of meth heads, it seems like.
Yeah, it kind of does seem like
From the
that.
photos.
Well, listen, anytime you have more than one mugshot, and it's not like, oh, you got DUI'd, booked,
Right.
whatever, sent home. Like you're in prison stripes, you got problems.
Yeah, they
There's
definitely did.
There were lots of
I'm
them.
kind of glad they moved out because like I didn't want any of that near us.
He was so cute too. It's unfortunate.
I know. He was like a good athlete. I remember he played football and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he was a good kid.
yeah, that's
R.I.P.
crazy.
Danny Akers.
R.I.P.
What a shame.
Yeah. Let's see, who else can we talk about? We had really smart kids on
yeah.
the Lee family.
Yep.
All right, so there were these 2 kids. It was a boy and a girl, Albert and
Jess.
Mm-hmm. And these 2 were like your stereotypical Asian family with like very, very smart,
Valedictorians.
valedictorian. Yes,
Right?
yes.
Of both their classes. Because I think Albert was
Super
Lindsay's
smart.
class and he was valedictorian. And then Jess was a year younger than me and I'm pretty sure she was valedictorian
They were
too.
very quiet. They didn't really bother anybody. They were just they're super smart kids in the
Yep.
neighborhood. We just knew that they're like going to be freaking astrophysicists or some shit like that. I don't even
I
know
wonder
if
what
that's a
they're
thing.
doing now.
It's a good question. We should look them up.
We should. So I'll never forget one time with her. I was being my bitchy teenage self.
Sounds
and
about right.
I want to say like she did something to piss me off. So I was like, let's go. Like we're going to fight. And normally when I tried to fight someone in our neighborhood, they like
Stepped off.
ran away. Yeah. Well, this bitch who was like the last person on earth I thought would step to me was like, let's fucking go.
Get out of here.
And like she was ready to throw down with me. And I don't know what happened. We didn't end up fighting, but like somehow I got out of it. But thank God, because she would have beat my ass.
she was a tough girl.
She was a big girl. Like,
Yeah,
she
she
was
was.
tall. Like she wasn't like this tiny little thing. Like,
No, definitely
she
not.
totally could have kicked my ass.
That's so funny. I
Yeah.
can't believe out of all the people who would step to you, it would be her. I never would have guessed.
Oh yeah,
that.
she was ready to go.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm like, good for you.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Then we had the kids at the end of Second Street.
The kids at the end of
The
Second
Gingresses?
Street. Oh yeah.
Yeah, at the end of Second Street.
They were like the neighborhood troublemakers.
yes.
I'm actually friends with them on social media now.
That's good.
And like they're like normal adults at this point in life, but they were troublemakers back in the day.
Like the badass kids. I remember those. Like that family because they scared me. They were older than us.
Way
like,
older.
A lot
Yeah.
older than us.
Star, I think, was 2 years older than me, and I'll never forget going to like someone's house in the neighborhood and watching a horror movie like for the first time. And it was like something mom said we weren't allowed to watch, like Friday the 13th or something like that. And I was like, oh God, if my mom finds out, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. And I'm like, I felt like so cool because I'm like, I'm hanging out with the bad kids, watching horror movies.
They want to hang out with me. This is awesome.
I know. But she was so nice. Like, she wasn't bad.
No.
The brothers got in trouble a lot.
The brothers reminded me, to this day, they remind me of, remember the two bad kids on A Christmas Story?
Yes.
The two bullies?
Yes.
That's what I picture when I
Yes.
picture those two.
Yeah, because they were like they were stereotypical bullies.
They were, and they were like gingery to me for some reason in my mind. Like that's what I picture. I can't shake it. Oh, they freaked me out. But I remember being at the bus stop, actually at the Woods, which was right at the bus stop, and it was winter time. And like, you know, like when you're a little kid and you're in school and they're like, don't smoke cigarettes, don't do drugs, don't drink alcohol, blah, 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 blah. And if, you know, you ever see somebody doing it, like a friend or something, and you want to help them, you can just tell them, like, can you put that out? And I'm like, okay. So this is what I learned at school.
How old were you?
I was maybe 9 or 10.
Okay.
Probably younger, probably like 9.
Okay.
And going across the street to the sleigh riding hill where everybody was, and one of the Jingers boys is up there smoking cigs. So I decided I'm going to take this upon myself to ask him to put it out politely, because this is what I learned in school and I'm helping him. You know, like, this is not good for you, just so you know. Like, it's really bad for you. So I say to him, he's sitting there smoking, and as soon as he lit it up and he started smoking, I'm like, excuse me, can you put that out? Like, it's really not good for you. And he just went right back to smoking and goes, yeah, I'm almost done. And I stood there like, wait, what do I say next? They didn't prepare me for what I say. If somebody says no, or like, shut the fuck up, you know, like, mind your business.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Oh my God. And I just froze, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll wait for him to finish and then I'll put it out.
I remember being at the sleigh riding hill with Johnny Gingras and Richie Buckley, who were like the older troublemaker boys in our neighborhood. I don't even know what they did that was so bad, but for whatever reason, like, the adults made me feel like I needed to be petrified of them. And they were like older than us, and like you said, smoking cigs when we were like little kids. So, but honestly, like, I don't think they were really that bad. Like, I don't know.
I have no idea. I just remember them as being bad.
Like, like we were told they were bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they actually were bad.
Well,
Either way, I was terrified of them. So we're at the sleigh riding hill, and Richie and Johnny built this gigantic, like, snow jump going down the snow trail.
Right.
And I feel like it was just the 3 of us that were there. And they were like, you want to go off the jump, Jess? And I'm like, psh, the cool boys, the old boys, like the scary boys are being nice to me. Yeah, I want to go off the jump.
They must have launched your ass.
Dude, they fired me down this hill. I probably went 6 feet in the air. I landed so hard on my back that I knocked the wind out of myself. I was like laying there like a dead body. I couldn't breathe. And in my mind, I'm like, be cool, Jess, be cool. Like, you can't fucking act like an idiot. Like, the cool boys just let you go off the jump. Cool. And of course, they're fucking dying because they just shot like a 5-year-old off of a jump and think it's hysterical. Like, it was something special. Another thing that happened to me at the sleigh riding hill, which I think I was older when this happened, like middle school. Remember Sean Reams?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. So now
he never spoke. I felt like he never said a word.
He's like a fantastic musician. He actually, I think he owns like a music thing in town in West Milford. Okay. And like he gives lessons and stuff. He's an amazing guitar player. But anyway, so I forget what I did, but one time we were at the sleigh riding hill and I said something smart and pissed him off, and he took like one of those long like toboggan plastic sleds and fucking slapped me right upside the head with a sled.
You probably deserved it.
I'm sure I probably did. I bet you he
deserved
remembers it too, because I think everyone sometimes wanted to punch me when I was a kid.
Shovel smacked you with a sled.
Full on fucking whacked me with a sled hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus. You probably deserved it.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
I'm sure I did. But I think I was so stunned by the fact that he fucking hit me. I was like, because he was always, like you said, so quiet and just chill, quiet. Like easygoing.
Didn't say
nice
much at
kid, like never like trouble, like
silent but deadly.
Right.
Watch out for that
sniper.
one. You always got to watch out for the quiet ones.
Oh, he whacked me hard with the sled, really hard.
That's so funny.
He was he was always friends, I think, too, with like Stevie Sutton. He's another one, R.I.P.
Oh,
I loved Stevie.
die?
He had a heart condition. Yeah, I know. Well, a couple
sucks.
years ago, he died. Like, it's been a while now. But I
R.I.P.
remember with Stevie, we would be at the sleigh riding hill, and I guess the older boys, maybe it was the Gingresses, maybe this is why they were trouble. They used to like build forts in the woods, and they would stash all kinds of like Playboys and like nudie magazines in these forts, and Steve would find them. And Stevie was gay, which was so funny. Like no one knew that until he was older. But like he would go with me, and we would find their secret forts and find all the Playboys, and they were like soaking wet and disgusting. I remember like peeling the pages open to try to see, and everyone had like big hairy bushes because it was like the 80s and the 90s. They must have like been stealing them from their dads and like stashing them in the forts, and they'd get all rained on and stuff. But I remember like being in the woods, like looking at these and being like, oh my God, if my mom knew I was looking at this, I'd be in so much trouble.
He set those woods on fire.
Stevie did.
Yeah, he was in the woods with some other kids, and they were smoking cigs, of course. And somebody had the bright idea to like, it was fall, and they were like, you know, the woods are covered in leaves at this point. They were picking up dried leaves and lighting them on fire with with a lighter, and then like putting it out. Yeah, and it just caught
on fire.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I was looking out your bedroom window.
I remember that.
And I just saw flames like all the way across. And I'm like, Mom, I think something's happening in the woods. And she came over and looked. She's like, the freaking woods are on fire. And she had to call the fire department.
Do you remember the old man that lived on 2nd Street? I think he lived on 2nd Street, and he would walk to the VFW every day and like get hammer face and then walk home, and he would be walking down the hill. I remember sitting, because my bedroom was like at the end of the house. So I would remember like sitting and being like, oh, the old man's coming. And I would watch out my window, and he would be so drunk that when he would be walking down the hill, like down.
Would he stumble?
He would sometimes fall face first. Like
I could see him like walking this
straight
way.
on, like he'd be like walking and go down the hill and just go smash. And like,
my God.
Fall face first. One time he was like on the side of the road, and you know how there was like a little divot on like from where the pavement was, and then there was like the divot, and it went up to a hill to like a higher ground where we would sleigh ride down. So whatever that little divot was, he somehow fell in there one time, and I remember watching him. It felt like an eternity,
like gravel,
trying to get up out of the divot.
Oh my God!
He could not get up, and every time he almost got it, he fell back down because he was so hammered. I remember eventually being like, Dad, the drunk guy's back. He's on the street. And Dad went out, and he would go out all the time and help him up or drive him home. Yeah, because he couldn't get up.
That's
and Dad would have to make sure that he got home. Like, do you know how hammered you have to be to not be able to walk down a hill?
Fall down drunk.
Holy crow.
Yeah, that's a special talent.
I just remember watching him. Like when I would see him coming across the front yard, I'm like, hoo.
That's why
it was always a show. It was like, is he gonna make it? What's gonna happen? Is he gonna fall?
Awesome. That is awesome.
It's so mean, but now, like, as an adult, I think about him. But as a kid, like, I didn't know any better. So I was like, let's just see what happens.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We had a couple of rebels throughout the neighborhood.
Yeah, we sure did.
I mean, the Walmas were definitely, they were rebels.
They were.
Yeah.
They were troublemakers.
Well.
Your husband?
That's hilarious. Very funny. Very funny. When we were little kids, okay, so if you grew up when we grew up, there was Full House, right? You watched TGIF on Fridays. It was the best. And Full House had an episode where Uncle Jesse said something about, like, in Greece, when you get married, the couple walks around the table together, and that means you're married. So Jess had this brilliant idea that Andy, one of the kids from the neighborhood, and I should get married Greek style.
Yep.
And walk around the patio table, and we did this whole like mock wedding that we like literally.
Well, he was like your little neighborhood boyfriend.
Yeah, he was my neighborhood boyfriend.
You guys were kids, but like he was your guy. Mm-hmm. So
he used to ride over on his little dirt bike to our house because he lived on 4th Street and we were on 1st Street.
Yes.
So he would ride his little dirt bike over to the house, and he would come knocking on the door. Remember when he told Dad
he was born to ride?
Yeah, Dad saw him on his little motorcycle, and he's like, "You ride that thing, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah." My dad's like, or Dad said something like, "How do you know how to ride it? Like you're a little young." And he's like, I was born to ride. Dad's like, okay. He's like, is Ashley home? It's like, just a minute.
He was. Those kids like grew up on like dirt bikes and stuff. They were always the ones whose stuff we would be riding in the fields. They used to have snowmobiles too. So like I would ride the snowmobiles all the time. One time I'll never forget, it was 1996, and we got this huge ass blizzard, and we were out of school for like a week.
That.
The snow was like up to the front door.
I know.
Like it was, you could barely get out of the house, and somehow we escaped and played. When it snowed, like by us when we were young, we just played outside all freaking day.
We got locked outside.
Well, that's true too.
We got locked outside.
We weren't allowed to go home. Yeah, she basically locked us out.
Mom locked us out.
Yeah.
We talk about it to this day to her. She's
Yeah.
like, well, you know what? If you had to get 4 kids in a snowsuit and get them all out, and you know what? Honestly, I never respected that choice. And then like once I got Mila,
it's a
playing
lot
in
of
the snow
work.
for the first time, I was like, yeah, no, we're staying outside for a few minutes, all right? Because we're not going in and out.
No, it is. It's a lot of work. So she would lock us outside, and we would be playing all day. But we would go to the Walmas house and ride the snowmobiles. And for this particular storm, the snow was so deep, and I was hauling ass driving one of the snowmobiles, and the ski got caught in the snow because it was so deep, and the whole fucking thing flipped. My helmet went flying off. I cracked the window of the ski.
God.
Randy was so pissed.
Randy.
Yeah.
Oh man, when I think of Randy, that's so funny.
We got into a lot of trouble for that.
Well,
Me and Lynn were always getting in trouble together.
I could see that. Lynn was cool.
She was the best. She was my best neighborhood friend. To this day, she's my friend. I love her so much.
Yeah, she was
her
always
and her
cool.
brother. Like Garrett and I, anytime he comes home from Japan, I see him. Like obviously he's military, so he's been gone for
That's nice.
a long time. But yeah, he
That's
just retired
nice.
actually.
Oh, did he? Good for him.
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah.
He has kids?
Yeah, too.
Nice. Good for
Yeah,
him.
they're awesome. But
And they still live in Japan?
yeah, because his wife is still active. I think she retires soon, and then they'll probably come back to the States and like settle down, live here.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. That's cool.
But I still see them like when he comes home.
I'll tell you, one of the most underrated kids in our neighborhood, I think, was Janine.
I freaking loved Janine.
Janine was so tall and had these big round glasses.
Yeah.
And like she didn't really say too much, but like
Yeah, she was quiet.
she was a quiet one. But like when I think back,
She was
I'm
a
like
sniper.
She was a sniper.
Yeah, she was.
She was
We'd be like
cool.
smoking cigs in her shed all the time. Her and I used to smoke cigs together all the time because her parents smoked. And we used to steal
them.
her dad's cigarettes, and she would steal them. And then she'd bring them for me, and we would smoke them together.
So I never thought, as like a little kid when we lived there, like I never thought that like you would smoke cigarettes because we were always told like don't you dare.
Yeah.
And if we got caught smoking cigarettes, our parents told us
I
like,
never
because
would have
eat the
smoked
pack.
cigarettes if it wasn't for the kids in the neighborhood.
Probably.
Like
right?
they all.
Well, listen, I respectfully asked somebody to put theirs out, and they respectfully declined. Okay, so I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget. I was playing at Caitlin's house, and her sister Suzanne came home, and like we're outside playing, and Suzanne said something about you smoking cigarettes, and I was probably like 9. 10, I don't know, and thinking like, not my sister, like no way. And I was like, no, she doesn't. And Suzanne's like, yeah, she does. And she was being like the she was
Mean
almost
older
like
sister.
yeah, being mean. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, she definitely doesn't. She's like, oh no, she does. I went home. I'll never forget this. This is when you had your own. When you had your own landline in your room,
Yes.
like if you had your own line,
My clear neon light up
see-through phone.
Hell yeah.
So I took the house phone from the kitchen that had the long ass cord. I went into the bathroom and climbed with the phone. I'm calling your line as I do this. I go into the bathroom and then
From
into
2
the
doors
linen
away.
closet. Literally, it must. If I look at it now, it's probably from me to that wall. It's like 10 feet, and I hid in the linen closet. You picked up the phone, and I'm like, I'm just calling to tell you, Suzanne said you smoke cigarettes. And you're like, where are you? I'm like, I'm hiding in the linen closet. I didn't want mom to hear me. I was afraid you would get in so much trouble, but
You're
I wanted
such
to
a
make
good
sure you knew she was
sister.
saying that. It was
She
so
smoked
funny.
cigarettes with me.
I know.
She
Now
was
I
like
know.
another one of my cigarette smoking
I know.
buddies.
So funny.
We would steal them from Janine's dad, and she would smoke them too.
That's hysterical. All right, so wait, last one. Let's do our neighbors, the
Franzas. Oh my god.
Okay, so the Franzas were the best.
They really were.
They were the best. They were like this older couple that lived next door to us. They had a built-in pool. We had a fence between our yards. They had a gate that they opened up, or that they put in there for us to be able to just come over and
Yep,
swim
come and
whenever
go
we
as we
wanted.
pleased, yep.
They were so good to us. They were like grandparents to
They
us.
had 3 sons, and they were much older than us. Like they were probably our dad's age, right? Like
Yeah,
or a little
younger.
younger than dad.
Yeah,
like
younger.
mom and dad.
Yeah, maybe like within 10 years.
Okay. So yeah, they had 3 boys, and the youngest one used to live there. Actually 2, I think Henry and Paul.
Henry definitely
lived there.
Paulie definitely lived there in the basement.
So they were still young, like when we were really young.
Yeah,
they were like
Steve was married with 2 kids.
Yeah, they were probably in their early 20s. So like I remember being out on the swing set, and Henry would be like outside cleaning the pool and stuff for Mr. Franza, and swinging on the swings for hours, just saying, Henry is a knucklehead. over and over. This poor guy
probably wanted to jump that fence
and
just
murder all of us.
Smother us with a pillow.
Yes.
I would not have even blamed him.
Yes. Me and Garrett used to go fishing in the creek at the bottom of the street and catch sunnies and bring them back to the house in a bucket and throw them in Mr. Franza's pool.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because we thought that we could swim with them. That like the whole like they're gonna die from chlorine thing was not in our mind as children. Like because they always let us swim, we were like, let's bring fish back and we can swim with the fish.
Swim with the fish. Remember Chris pooped in that pool?
Oh, he totally did.
Good times.
We weren't allowed to bring friends anymore.
So we had to take a little break after that. Thanks a lot, Pooh.
Chris pooped everywhere.
Chris is our cousin. He definitely pooped in their pool. He did poop everywhere. Whatever. It's neither here nor there. We'll get into that one day. We have lots of poop stories about Chris. Oh God.
Pooh Penny.
No, but like we thought those
Pooh
3
Bear.
boys. Pooh Bear.
I can't. I'm so many good poo stories.
But like we thought, I mean, when we were little kids, we thought those 3 guys were like the coolest guys ever. I remember thinking Paulie was like awesome.
Yeah.
He had long hair.
He had a Halloween like punk rocker dark mullet like
long,
wig
curly hair
that we used to borrow all the time and wear it because we just thought it was so cool, this punk rocker
I don't remember
80s
that
wig. And I just remember like going over there, and if we were allowed to go like in Paulie's room, I'd be like, can I wear the wig?
Oh my God. So wait a second. Paulie like had a motorcycle. We thought it was the coolest thing ever. When we were allowed to go in his room, which was like just
very
so we
infrequent.
could. Yeah, it wasn't like a normal thing.
No.
But he would.
It wasn't creepy either.
No, it wasn't like that. Nothing like that at all. But we were allowed to go in there because he would show us he had a pet tarantula. So he'd let us see it.
Yes.
Now the pet tarantula, now I'm looking back at this as an adult and I'm like, red flags, red flags, red flags, red flags. Ashley, Mom, Dad, red flags, red flags, red flags. What are you guys thinking? He had this pet tarantula that lived in its tank above his bed.
It was like the headboard of his bed.
Which, mind you, was a black leather waterbed in the basement in like his late 20s.
Yeah.
Okay. So like red flag, red flag, red flag. That's all I'm thinking.
Do you know he also had, in addition to the tarantula, a black widow in that same
I didn't know that.
cage? Yes. There were 2 spiders in there. One was tiny. And I could not even fall asleep if there was a tarantula and a black widow next to my face. I'm sorry. No.
I didn't know he had the black widow.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, a tarantula's bad enough.
I just remember that thing being so fucking hairy. I mean, like, oh my God. Ooh. And he'd be like, you want to hold it? And I'm like, not really, but
No.
okay.
Did you hold it?
I definitely have pet it before.
Oh, no, I never.
Yeah, no. I was allowed to pet it.
Spiders creep me out.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
No.
But so between Paulie and then Henry was like always like kind of like quiet. He was very
low-key.
like very like boy next door look, like everything like that. Had like a curly mullet.
Yeah.
Like he was
He did.
He was a nice guy, but like he dated and everything, and I don't know, is he gay?
I don't know.
He never got married.
I don't think either Henry or Paul ever got married.
Paul didn't get married for obvious reasons. Let's be honest. That's a free
I
spirit
think they
right there.
live out in California or something now.
But
they came home. Remember when they came home? Because we met them one time.
Oh my God, when we reconnected with them.
I was with my husband. So
I was 21.
Okay, so I remember they came home and we all like met up for a drink at Valley View.
Maybe I was 20 actually.
And probably
19. Could have been one of those.
But we all met up for a drink with them, and it was like reconnecting like 20 years later with your neighborhood, like next door neighbor.
Yeah, because we thought they were the coolest people.
Yeah,
so
we did.
We go to meet up with them, and like now you're seeing it through the lens of an adult, and I'm like, these guys are kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie, like this is a little weird. And they invited us. Well, you left.
I did. The red flags
looking to get out of there.
Flying high, and I was like, I gotta go.
Lindsay at the time Lindsay, we love and adore, but Lindsay, who just doesn't have the social skill
No.
at the time to like be like, all right, this is a little awkward. We're all
Right.
going to get out of here. They're like, why don't you guys come back to Henry's house with us? And we're like, I'm like, Lindsay, maybe you should check, because Lindsay had the baby.
Oh, right.
See, we might have to get back because of the baby, blah, blah, blah. Lindsay steps outside, not taking the like,
Yeah, like,
hint,
no,
hint.
we can't come.
No, we can't go. Lindsay comes back in 2 minutes later. Dad said he'll watch the baby. We can go. I'm like, oh, what the fuck did you do? We tried losing them on the highway wherever the fuck he lived. It was an absolute disaster. We end up back there. The next thing I know, I'm trying on these jeans that are like lace up jeans. I'm like, I want to go home.
my
Get me
God.
out of here. This is creepy. It was like jeans that he got for Stephanie.
Oh,
For
his niece.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
What
as
was he
soon as I
like?
put 'em
Why
on-
did he make you try them on?
He's like, oh, you should try these on. We'll know if they fit Stephanie. And I'm like, okay. Going in the bathroom. They literally like laced all the way up from the toe to like the top of the hip. And
Very
as soon as I
inappropriate.
walked out, I remember Henry being like, Steve's going to kill you. He will kill you if you give those jeans to Stephanie. And I'm like standing there and I'm like, can I take these off?
They're really uncomfortable.
Get the hell out of here. This is really awkward. We left, thank God. And
my
yeah,
God.
that was the last time I saw those guys. Good
I don't
Lord.
know if they like knew that they were creeps. Like,
I mean, I don't know.
like, did they intend to be creeps, or do they not
you know
think
what?
about us like that? They think of us
I'm
like
sure they didn't. You know what I
nieces and
mean?
nephews, yeah, and like so in their head it wasn't
no big
creepy,
deal.
but
Yeah.
when you're like 20 and everyone's hitting on you at that point in life, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, and plus,
And
I
they're
mean,
old. They're like 20 years older.
Yeah,
than
they're
us.
20 years older than
Yeah.
us too. So there's that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? But I mean, I think also it was kind of like, I don't know, Paul moved out to California, so like he's very like, yeah,
Oh,
like
right,
I just
true.
like, just
Very
wanna,
free
and I'm
spirit,
like,
yeah.
oh, geez, Louise, here we go. I gotta go. Like I just want to. We are definitely from
No
not
more
seeing
modeling
eye to eye.
creepy clothes for
Yeah.
you. Sorry.
He would always tell us that too when we were little kids. You should be a model. I'm
Oh,
like,
he did. He used to let us drive his car around the
ShopRite parking lot. That was awesome.
We
Good
were
times.
little, like little.
I know. We
Like
were little.
5.
We'd sit on his lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he would let us drive his car in ShopRite. I'll never forget that.
All right, last one.
Okay.
When poor Caitlin came over and was jumping on the trampoline and cut her head wide open.
Oh,
That was your fault.
It might have been.
It definitely was your
I
fault.
remember this. So we had 2 swing sets in the back, and the one was like starting to go bad. So Dad was taking it out of the ground, but it was cemented in to the dirt. So when he dug it out, he like pulled it
Had to
out of the
pull it
earth
out.
and set it back. But the bases of the swing set had chunks of concrete on
Lumps
them
of
still.
jagged concrete.
From where they were like in the ground to keep it from like flipping out when we would swing too high.
Yeah.
And
We put a trampoline there.
we had a trampoline.
The kids in the neighborhood would all come over and jump on the trampoline.
It had no net like they do today.
Yes, there was no net.
No.
And also you have to remember, like, there's kids on a trampoline that like will jump like for the moon.
Right,
You know what
right.
I mean?
Backflips,
yeah, going
crazy,
crazy,
no
everything like
fear.
that. We were wild like that.
Yeah.
And then there were kids in the neighborhood that wouldn't let their toes leave the top of the mat.
Right. So they were
They
scared.
would jump. They were scared. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jessica, you double bounced.
Was
that
Caitlin
poor
a scaredy
girl.
or she was a go for it?
scaredy.
Oh,
No,
she was
a
a
scaredy. Yeah, I remember because we would jump. We would play all the time together, like every single
We
day.
used to have sleepovers on that trampoline. Like we would sleep out there all night long.
I
I think about
know.
that now. I'm like, oh God, I would
Well,
never let my kids sleep
she
outside
got
like that.
Double bounced off of that and hit her head, like landed
Uh-huh.
her head first on one of those concrete blocks, and her head split wide open.
Oh, I remember.
And I remember she had a cheer comp the next day. She had to go and get stitches.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a head wound.
I
It
swear
bled
you
everywhere.
saw her brain. It was
oh my
not
God,
good.
that was messed up. And like she had a cheer comp like the next day and she couldn't go. She had a big Band-Aid on her head and I felt so bad. It was her. We were lucky we didn't get sued, but whatever.
I got my nose broken.
Yeah, that's true.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Garrett and I were fighting a tree with a
We were fighting a bush. The pricker bush.
Yep, we were fighting the pricker bush with a ski pole,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to take a big swing, and when he came back to swing forward to hit the bush, on the pullback, he cracked me right in the bridge of the nose, broke my nose. I remember running up the backyard hill, like blood just pouring. I could tell you what I was wearing because that's how much I had, like gold leggings on with this like rainbow striped top that had the gold legging, like a stripe that same color, was like black, purple, gold.
was a set.
It was. And I just remember everything being covered in blood and it not stopping bleeding.
I remember him crying.
Oh, he was
Like,
so
he
upset.
felt
Well, he was like my
so bad.
buddy. Like
I
he never
know.
intended to hurt me.
I
It was
felt
totally
so
an accident.
bad for him. It was an accident. I remember just seeing him sitting in the backyard and just like, how did I do that to her?
Mom
I was
said
like, "It's okay."
Mom said at first he ran away because he was afraid he was going to get in trouble, and then he
poor
came
kid.
back to check on me because he was worried.
Listen, people crack their heads open, break their noses.
I had to go to Dr. Baccarin. That's the same guy that patched up Luis's burns.
Oh, good times.
All like,
Under the table.
yeah. Yeah. So who knows if it was actually broken. But I remember we had Easter pictures.
And you had black
And I
eyes.
had 2 black eyes in
Good
my
times.
Easter photos. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved that. I love thinking about
There were
thinking
so
back about
many
the kids
good
in the neighborhood.
times. Yeah.
We had a good crowd.
We did.
I mean, we had a very fun crowd.
We
that's
did.
for sure.
It was a good time. We'll have to have like Lynn come on and talk about memories with us because she'll
remember the
come
good
and
stuff.
she'll remember stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That's so funny.
I know,
Mr.
I love
Buckley
it.
yelled at me when I was an adult, by the way.
Who did? Mr. Buckley, Richie's dad?
Yep.
Why?
Because one of the Walmas, Andy, bought the house next door when we were in
Sean's
our
house?
20s. Yeah, Sean's house. He bought Sean's house.
Okay.
And I don't know, Mr. Buckley came over to like yell about the garbage cans, and I answered the door because my boyfriend lived with him. So
How
I was
ironic.
sleeping there, and somebody's rapping on the door first thing in the morning. I go to answer the door, and I'm like, and hungover, and I'm like, what? And he's like, you guys, he goes, do you live here? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, you need to get the garbage can and get that inside. And I'm like, I just said I don't live here. What are you talking about? Next thing you know, my boyfriend comes running down the stairs and went berserk on Mr. Buckley. I was like, oh, God. All right, I'm going back to bed. Good night. But he yelled at me as an adult. I'll never forget it. He was still just as mean.
My God. And this was the dad, Richie's dad.
Yeah, Richie's dad.
Okay.
Mr. Buckley.
Well, maybe that's why Richie was mean because his dad was mean.
I could see his dad being hard on him. Whatever. Anyway.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
It was.
So I think we could wrap it up there.
Yeah,
This is-
that's it.
We
This
got
was-
more,
This was
but
so
still.
fun. I love talking about, like, we have so many great memories just of being kids, and I think it's fun to talk about some of the good times and the crazy stuff that happened because, like, these are the moments in life that build who you are. It, like, makes your character.
Yeah,
and
getting shovel hit with a sled. You
slapped
don't forget
with a
it.
sled, yeah, you know, smoking cigs and sheds.
Good times.
Good time.
All right, we will see you guys next week. Follow us on all social media. And in case you don't know, this is also streamed on YouTube, so you can watch us.
Yes, this
If
is
you'd like
a
to.
video podcast. So
Yes.
if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else, please follow us also on YouTube because we put a lot of time and effort into being in a studio so you can see us too.
Yeah, good times.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye guys.